So we right now are in the energies of Wesak, such a spiritual time of year particularly for esoteric students. I was thinking on the way over here this morning, it's so incredibly beautiful to recognize, experience, and even to know there are so many men and women around the world today that are observing the energies of Wesak. It's to know them, and I know quite a few, not the majority, but quite a few, and some of them they're going into retreat together, they're experiencing seminars together, all focused on hierarchy and the energies of Wesak. So we are very much in the flow with them and are adding to that energy. This morning, my talk has been compiled from various books of the teachings of Agni Yoga. Fire World 1, New Era Community, Agni Yoga, Hierarchy, Brotherhood, the Heart of Asia, and also Shambhala. The Heart of Asia and Shambhala were written by Nicholas Rourke, and also Trails to Inmost Asia by George Rourke. So I have a lot to get to this morning. And followed by my talk this morning, then we'll have our meditation. The Master says, trace how the word Shambhala is uttered in the East. Try to penetrate, even in a small way, into the ideology of this concept. Try to understand the rhythm of structure of speech about Shambhala. And you will perceive a great reality which causes the harp strings of humanity to vibrate. Let reason help you to ponder on the values accumulated by the best strivings. And that's from New Era Community. During each cycle of every full moon, there is a moment of contact. The moment of contact occurs at the exact time of each full moon. This year, 2021, the Wesak moment of contact, the full moon of Taurus, is tomorrow, April 26th, at 8:33 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I think that's, excuse me, 3:33 Greenwich time. So you just figure it out. Or go to White Mountain's website and it's figured out for you. Just go to the full moon schedule and it'll tell you. So 3 days prior to the moment of contact this year, April 23rd, April 24th, April 25th, today, are the days that students of the teaching from around the world concentrate upon right striving, purification, and transformation. Right striving, purification, and transformation. They begin to ready themselves not only for Wesak, but also for the new spiritual year, the day which follows the day of Wesak. April 27th this year, the new spiritual year. Think about this. What does the new spiritual year mean for you? How are you going to establish this new spiritual year? So we actually started this back in Aries, the day of contact with Aries, beginning to build our goals, think about the coming year, and then actually launch it this Tuesday. So this Tuesday is the beginning of the next spiritual year. So how do we do this? We can observe elements in our nature that need to be transformed, such as destructive habits, or simply habits that we believe have limited our spiritual progress. This takes courage. This takes observation. This takes deep thought. And honestly, destructive habits that we believe have limited our spiritual progress. Once we have observed these things, then we can begin to create methods to eliminate what we've observed, what we consider destructive habits, and also establish goals then that are going to bring about a transformation for our next step of freedom. Freedom from our Maya, glamours, and illusions. Most disciples initiate specific objectives and subjective spiritual disciplines, which, like I said, began March 28th, which was the day of the full moon of Aries, and will continue through the full moon of Gemini, which is May 26th. It is on the day of contact, tomorrow, the 26th of April, and at the exact time of the full moon, where world disciples, will align their entire nature toward all that is beautiful, toward all that is good and honest. So it will be a time of solemnity and spiritual honesty. It is on this day of contact that we can make a conscious contact with our master. Or if we're not yet in conscious contact with the master, then we can go to tune into the higher consciousness, the higher self of our earthly teacher who represents our master. At the exact moment of Wesak, of the Wesak moon, the master will focus his eyes upon you. The penetration of the master's gaze will either immediately or gradually be felt, where you will feel the energies penetrating your aura, which will cause a moment of supreme illumination, just a moment. And the reason for just a moment, because that's all we can absorb. We still are kind of anchored in this physical body, and the physical body can't handle more than just a moment of supreme illumination. I mean, we know this to be so. When we begin meditation, we start meditation on a day-to-day basis, 5 minutes, and it blows the body. All the cells, the atoms, the glands, the organs, because we're not used to 5 minutes of intense concentration. And that intensity builds and builds and builds. It broadens our consciousness until finally we are now functioning in the fiery world, the super mundane world. So it's a gradual process. If we don't understand the necessity and the protection that the gradual process allows us to undergo, then we're going to experience ugly side effects. Our bodies can't hold that fiery energy. It just cannot. It's not made that way, but we're making it that way by a scientific process. So your moment may be a little longer than other moments, but nonetheless it will still be a moment of supreme illumination. Illumination of our consciousness is a moment where the light generated from the radiating fires found within higher atoms will then be released in your aura. A moment of contact, remember this is tomorrow, our time, mountain time, 8:33 p.m. A moment of contact where the master may, for a moment, illumine you with his spiritual fire. And of course, this spiritual fire is intertwined with the fire of the mother of the world. If this occurs, you will feel like a part of you has been twice born. The 3 days following the day of contact, which will be 27, 28, and 29, since the actual day of contact is tomorrow, the 26th, can be used to give our love. 27, 28, 29. So 26, 27, 28, 29 can be used to give your love, your beauty, and compassion to your family, to your immediate group, and to the world group. Love, beauty, and compassion. Send your love and compassion to the hierarchy, to your teachers, to the new group of world servers, and to humanity, and also to those beloved friends who have passed to the higher worlds. So this morning, for the rest of my talk, I'm going to share information about Shambhala and the energies and forces of Shambhala, for they are the most influential at the time of Wesak. The legend tells us that it is through the eye of Taurus, the star of Aldebaran, that the Shambhala energies, in combination with other forces, work toward the externalization of the hierarchy and the reappearance of the Christ and the presence of the Mother of the world. Aldebaran is the brightest star in the constellation of Taurus and is known as the Eye of Taurus. That's Aldebaran. At the time of Wesak, the gate of Shambhala opens, releasing a flood of energies into the hearts of all aspirants, disciples, and initiates. I was just thinking about the time when I was in Darjeeling with a group of really beautiful people, and it was the day of Wesak, and we were celebrating it together. Now, Darjeeling, unlike Prescott, is surrounded with Buddhist temples and practicing Buddhists. And so where we were, a collection of people from all over the world actually celebrating Wesak, outside the building were these unusual sounds coming from these long trumpets. I'm sure it's a better name than trumpet, but these long horns that go all the way down and across the floor. All day long, these horns were playing in celebration of Wesak, and it was actually a bit annoying, being honest about it. But that tells us we all celebrate, in a different way, depending on our culture and background. So at the moment of Wesak, the gate of Shambhala opens, releasing a flood of energy into our hearts. The teaching specifically and explicitly says the energies which are released during Wesak festival come from Sirius, the great bear. Sirius, the great bear, constellation of Taurus, and of course especially the star of Aldebaran. These energies are focused on our planetary logos, Sanat Kamara, Shambhala, and the hierarchy, and then radiated out and spread throughout the ranks of all initiates, disciples, aspirants, and humanity in general, as well as to the lower kingdoms of the planet. Truly, this is a moment where we will experience the aura of joy and bliss. Now, from the New Era community, question: what are the signs of the time of Shambhala? Answer: the signs of the age of truth and cooperation. Question, is there a prayer to Shambhala that we can voice? Answer, let us pronounce the prayer to Shambhala. Thou who called me to the path of labor, accept my ableness and my desire. Accept my labor, O Lord, because by day and by night thou beholdest me. Manifest thy hand, O Lord, because great is the darkness. I follow thee. The Prayer of Shambhala was received September 8th, 1927. The expedition of the Rourkes at that time was crossing Siddham and was given to us as a part of the teaching. You can read about those times in George's Trails to Inmost Asia, where it begins on page 269 to the end of the chapter. It is believed that the prayer was given to the whole party that were with the Rourkes at that time, as they were soon to enter Tibet. Question, what opens the direct path to Shambhala? Answer, the Master answers not education, not experience, not talent, but precisely it is the fire of straight knowledge that opens the direct path to Shambhala. The fire of straight knowledge indicates the unique quality of the new signs in the midst of your daily life. The new signs, so look for the new signs. You can foresee that organizations will guard with special care the lives of sensitive co-workers. Such consciousnesses are like milestones upon a straight road. He says scientific observations will be directed by the fire of straight knowledge. Question, can you tell us about the Universal Eye of Shambhala? Answer, the Universal Eye of Shambhala brings bliss to mankind. The Universal Eye of Shambhala is a light on the path of mankind. The Universal Eye of Shambhala is that star which has guided all seekers. Question, who is the ruler of Shambhala? Answer, for some, Shambhala is the truth. For others, Shambhala is a utopia. For some, the ruler of Shambhala is a venerable sage. For others, the ruler of Shambhala is a manifestation of riches. For some, the ruler of Shambhala is a bedecked idol. For others, the ruler of Shambhala is the ruler of all planetary spirits. But we shall say, the ruler of Shambhala is the fiery impeller of life and of the fire of the mother of the world. Their breath is ablaze with flame, and their heart is aglow with the fire of the silvery lotus. Master M says in the book Hierarchy, the ruler of Shambhala lives and breathes in the heart of the sun. The ruler of Shambhala is the invoker and the invoked. The ruler of Shambhala is the sender of the arrow and the receiver of all arrows. The ruler of Shambhala breathes the truth and affirms the truth. The ruler of Shambhala is invincible, turning destruction into construction. The ruler of Shambhala is the crest of the banner and the summit of life. Accept the ruler of Shambhala as a manifestation of life. Thrice I say, one of life. For Shambhala is the guarantee of human aspirations. Our manifestation is guarantee of the perfecting of humanity. Our manifestation is the affirmed path to the infinite. Question: what are the three doctrines the ruler of Shambhala reveals? 1. The teaching manifested by Maitreya summons the human spirit to our creative world. 2. The teaching of Maitreya ordains the infinite in cosmos, in life, and in the attainments of the spirit. And number 3, the teaching of Maitreya, which guards the knowledge of the cosmic fire as the unfoldment of the heart, which embraces the manifestation of the universe. The ancient legend that affirms the manifestation of Maitreya as a resurrection of the spirit is correct. We will add that the resurrection of the spirit as the conscious acceptance of the teaching of Lord Maitreya, which may be the precursor to the Advent. And he says, verily, the resurrection. Question: how can one reach the community of Shambhala? Answer: mankind is merciless to himself. Bewailing their fate, they forget that they inflict upon themselves a severe penalty. It is difficult for us, he says, to make people assimilate the thought of karma. But in a still more intractable state is the consciousness of a person headed straight for the abyss. People prefer self-destruction and self-deception to the enlightenment of consciousness. The quest for Shambhala varies widely in the spiritual domain. Is it possible that people believe that they will attain the community of Shambhala through invasion or through fasting? To him who is aware of the path to us, let us say, walk by the path of love. Walk by the path of labor. Walk by the path of the shield of faith. To those who have found our image in their heart, we shall say, walk by the way of the heart, and the chalice will affirm the path. To the one who through conceit thinks that they have attained the path, we shall say, go and learn from the spirit who knows consumption. The little girl, carrying the heavy volume of the Bible in the chambers of luxury, appears as a creator of a new world. The little girl who perceived the teacher of light under the blue sky is the destroyer of the dungeons of darkness. When the spirit of a small girl could feel the brothers of humanity, then the name of this spirit is a light-bearing sword. When since childhood the spirit could sense that the brothers of humanity regenerate that which exists, then this spirit holds the light-bearing name. We cherish the spiritual leaders among children. We cherish the spiritual leaders among children. The evidence of enlightenment is the best gift to evolution. Question: what is the relationship linking purified fire, higher consciousness, and Shambhala? Answer: the concept of Shambhala is actually linked inseparably with fiery manifestation. Without the application of purified fire, it is impossible to approach the higher concepts. Throughout the entire world, people are devoted into those who are conscious of Shambhala as the highest measure, and those who deny the future. Let the word Shambhala be known to but a few. Each has a different tongue, but the heart is one. One must manifest solicitous attention to each one who is ready to proceed toward the light. The heart must embrace each manifestation that reverberates to the good, but only under the flaming dome where all equal. Again, I was thinking, as I'm sharing this morning, about the time that I spent in Darjeeling, and so we took one afternoon and went through the little shops because I was looking for a tanka, not one that you could buy on the internet, but one that was old, ancient, and tattered. And so I went to different shops, and they didn't know what I was talking about until I went to this one shop, and this fellow was waiting for me. He said, "I've been waiting for you." And I said, "I'm trying to find a tanka that depicts Shambhala." And he said, "I have it for you." And took me into the back of the shop. And there it was, and it hangs in my house today. You know, it's very beautiful and radiates energy like crazy. So they are very sensitive to that word, Shambhala. And for somebody to pronounce the name Shambhala, it like shakes them to the bones, and they don't expect it from an American. Question: how and where can we recognize the manifestations of Shambhala? Answer: Shambhala is manifested under the most varying aspects in relation to the concepts of a century. It is correct to study all the cycles of the legends of Asia. Thus, one can go back as far as the most ancient teachings connected with Siberia, as the least known and most archaic part of the continent back then. The relation of the hieroglyphics found in India to the inscriptions on Easter Island are unquestionable. Thus is disclosed the manifestation of a new relationship of peoples, which fully corresponds to the most ancient sources. Thus, once more, you see how the chronicles have preserved the true historical data, but people accept them with difficulty. You observe justly that the facts about the Kala Chakra are passed over in silence. This is due not only to ignorance, but to an abhorrence of touching the fundamentals. Question: is there a northern Shambhala? Answer: in the East, people thought about a northern Shambhala, which manifested as the aurora borealis. There also existed a legend that a banner would be set up on the point of the North Pole. Thus are traditions fulfilled, and one may glance into the distant future when, through a shifting of the terrestrial axis, new lands will be discovered, which are now concealed. I have already spoken about the uncovering of the tundras. I commend those who look into the future. In 1923, the sixth Panchen, or Tashi Lama, the head of esoteric Buddhism in Tibet, operating from the Grand Tashi Lumpo monastic citadel near Sagatse, was believed to have been the only High Lama in Tibet who has the authority to issue passports to Shambhala, to worthy lamas. After he had completed in 1915 a temple, which was to shelter a colossal statue of Maitreya, the coming Buddha, the entire Sangpo Valley has the best crops in the years. On the other hand, when he left Tibet in 1923, terrible snowfalls swept the whole country, bringing ruin to the population. Remember the story last Sunday about, how this ties it together, touching the touch of saints and ascetics, and how that garden all of a sudden grew, right? When the Panchen Lama was visiting India, he was asked whether the reputed psychic powers of the High Lamas of Tibet were true. His Holiness said nothing, but only smiled. Then suddenly he vanished, and all the attempts to find him failed. But a newcomer beheld an unusual sight from a distance. The Panchen Lama was sitting under a tree, while his Indian hosts were looking for him in the garden. Nicholas Rourke wrote the following lines in his Heart of Asia. He said, "If you wish to understand Asia and to approach her as a welcome guest, you must meet your host with the sacred word, Shambhala." The Rourke family lived in the Kulu Valley in the Himalayas in close proximity to the border of Western Tibet. The Master M describes one secret monastery in a letter of AP Senate in 1881. And this is what Master M described in that book. At a certain spot, not to be mentioned to outsiders, there is a chasm spanned by a frail bridge of woven grasses and with a raging torrent beneath. The bravest member of your alpine clubs would scarcely dare to venture the passage, for it hangs like a spider's web and seems to be rotten and impassable. Yet it is not. And he who dares the trial and succeeds, as he will if it is right that he should be permitted, comes into a gorge of surpassing beauty, of which and whom there is no note among European geographers. At a stone's throw from the old lamasery stands the old tower, within whose bosom have gestated generations of bodhisattvas. In The Road to Shambhala, a rare 18th century Tibetan book, the third Panchen Lama wrote that the realm of Shambhala is situated in a mountain region sheltered on every side by mighty snowy ranges. It is believed that only he who has heard Kalagya, the call to Shambhala, sent on the wind or telepathically by the great masters, can ever hope to arrive safely in the valley of the wisest men on earth. Nicholas Rourke recounted the incident of a Siberian Lama who went through a narrow underground gallery to a sacred abode. To get to a sacred abode, Lama in Turfan and in Turkestan, they showed us caves with long, this is a quote, they showed us caves with long, unexplored passages. Can one reach the ashrams of Shambhala through these routes? The Lamas told him that as the holy men did not wish to be disturbed by explorers or curiosity seekers. The boundaries of their colonies were protected by various methods. Even a wall of poisonous gas from the cracks of the earth was utilized for the purpose. People and animals are known to have trembled on approaching certain localities as if bombarded by some invisible rays. Naturally, it is not easy to find the abode of the Brotherhood. A pilgrim is journeying to the Gobi Desert to a commune of sentinels, the sentinels of humanity, while another is climbing the majestic Himalayas for the same purpose. They have renounced all, yet they possess the world. Clad in simple clothes, they are richer and nobler than all the Rajas of India. The disciple's heart is aflame with compassion for mankind. His mind is illumined by an unforeseen light from cosmic depths. The disciple's heart is aflame with compassion. His mind is illumined by an unseen light from cosmic depths. A cold mind, a warm heart, and a fiery world. These are the passwords to Shambhala. Nicholas Rourke said, "In the foothills of the Himalayas are many caves, and it is said that from these caves subterranean passages proceed far below Kanchenjunga. Some have even seen the stone door, which has never been opened, because the date has not arrived. The deep passages proceed to the splendid valley." Dr. Osendowski, who was born May 27, 1876 in Latvia, discovered interesting facts during his difficult journey in Central Asia. A Mongol Lama told him not only about extensive tunnels, but even of strange cars which rushed through them. Only a high technology with a powerful energy at its disposal could have constructed the network of tunnels, which, according to some reports, were hundreds of kilometers long. To speak of vehicles that run rapidly underground is to suggest a technological achievement of a high culture. Nicholas Rourke, in 1935, rendered an account of his meetings with the natives, and he wrote, "When they appear amidst the desert, one begins to think, where was the long, waterless journey started? How was it made? But long, long caverns without end have been found." Rourke also wrote of Lao Sin, Dr. Lao Sin, telling of his journey to the valley of Shambhala. In a vital narrative, Dr. Lao Sin tells many details of his difficult journey with the Nepalese yogi through Mongolian deserts and severe uplands to the valley where he found an abode of numerous yogis studying the high wisdom. His description of the laboratories, temples, and also of the famous tower are surprisingly analogous to the descriptions of the remarkable place in other sources. He told of many scientific wonders and of complex experiments in willpower and telepathy, conducted over very great distances. The reason for the Buddhist terminology used in speaking of Shambhala is simple. Tibet's geographical proximity to the colony of the Magi, and the ancient links of saintly lamas with this center. The outside co-workers of Shambhala, the disciples of the mystery schools of the East and West, who are able to attune themselves to the minds of the great cosmic masters, well, they are not too numerous, yet they can be counted in the thousands. George Rourke, in his scholarly work, Trails to Inmost Asia, says, Shambhala is not only considered to be the abode of hidden Buddhist learning, it is the guiding principle to the coming Kalpa, or cosmic age. Learned abbots and meditating lamas are said to be in constant communication with this mystic fraternity that guides the destinies of the Buddhist world. In New Era community, Master M says, the geographer can be set at ease. We, listen to this, we do occupy a definite place on earth. The conspirator can be comforted. In various parts of the world, we have a sufficient quality of co-workers. You see, this is such a controversial statement. Not controversial to us, but the idea is controversial. I would say 90% of those I have talked to about the location of Shambhala say absolutely not. It is in the ethers. It is not on the planet. But who better knows than a master? So I'm going to repeat this, and it's found, again, the book New Era Community, paragraph or verse 232. The geographer can be set at ease. We do occupy a definite place on the earth. The conspirator can be comforted. In various parts of the world, we have a sufficient quantity of co-workers. I want to mention the Kalachakra teaching, which means the wheel of time, as a way to demonstrate the concrete nature of Shambhala. George Rourke, who is an authority on Tibetan writings, makes a significant statement regarding the connection of the Kalachakra with Shambhala. He wrote, the whole question of the Kalachakra system is closely interwoven with the problem of the realm of Shambhala, a mystical region from where the Kalachakra system was brought to India in the second half of the 10th century. According to Dr. Rourke, the search for the kingdom of Shambhala and the spiritual communion with its ruler has been the ultimate aim of all devotees of the Kalachakra. Those illumined monks have produced words describing the road to Shambhala, where geographical indications are blended with instruction as to spiritual prerequisites for entering the sphere of Shambhala. A course in Kalachakra begins with astronomy, astrology, and Sanskrit. Nicholas Rourke says, this teaching of the Kalachakra is the utilization of the primary energy and has been called the teaching of fire of Agni, the new teaching for the new era.